Are you tired of spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on graphic designers to get them to understand and create branded images for your Amazon listings? In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use AI, specifically ChatGPT, to be your own personal creative director for your brand. Now, I say creative director because while ChatGPT excels at creating infographics and it can do quite well with images, surprisingly well now as of making this video, it still can, have some minor flaws in images when you're especially dealing with highly detailed products. But when it comes to more simple products, it can do amazingly well. And in some cases, you can get away completely with just using ChatGPT to create your even lifestyle images, like putting a product in someone's hand. And I'll show you that in this video. So the main things we're going to be covering here today are not necessarily how ChatGPT can be great for product photography. I think still you're going to want to have good quality images of your product first to begin with, at least for now. We're not quite at the point where you could just snap some photos for most products and have ChatGPT do background removal and all those things and again, make sure the image matches exactly. But it excels at branded infographics, for example, which is going to be the core of our focus today. So that's how we're going to go over how you can use JSON prompts. And I know JSON prompt may sound scary to you and we're getting into coding, but it's actually very simple. And because you're going to have AI at your side, it's actually going to make it, again, super simple. I'm going to explain it in detail how to do it, and it will make perfect sense after you watch this video. And what these JSON prompts are going to do is going to allow you to have precise control over your image generation and make it so you can repeat the same quality. Because again, you're trying to basically create a virtual creative director for your brand. And so you're going to want that creative control and you're going to want that consistency over and over and over again. So once we go over how to generate the correct prompts, I'm going to show you how you can generate professional infographics that you'll need to highlight specific features and benefits of your product. And again, create that visual strategy for your brand and products. So again, you don't make it much more easy to explain your vision to a graphic designer by showing them examples. At the very least, if you can get, 90% of the way there, and maybe the graphic designer then can just take that and replicate it, swap in your product, make it look perfect, or maybe make some minor edits. That can save a lot of time. So by the end of this video, you should have the tools you need to create on-brand, consistent images that convert browsers into buyers, all while cutting costs dramatically. Let's dive in. What we're going to do is go ahead and do a kind of full walkthrough. So I'll show you how I'm thinking through the process, and we'll really go through this step by step. And we'll use this example of this Amish beard oil for the product that we're going to make the infographics for. But I'll also show you like what can happen if you do try to use a more complex product. I'm going to show you some examples of that and why it can be more difficult if you try to do all of it with ChatGPT and try to completely eliminate the need for a graphic designer, which I believe is going to be, at least for now, as of making this video, going to be pretty difficult. And you're probably really frustrated by trying to do that. But all right, so first of all, just to show you that example, let's go ahead and hop in here. And I'm going to show you, I took a photo of a beard trimmer that I have. So we'll, let me upload that. And we're just going to work with this image. And so let's just say, this could be your product that you're selling, right? So you want to you have a simple photo of it and you want to go ahead and try to maybe just remove the background, right? First of all, let's take a look at it. So we can get an idea of the details. And now let's go ahead and tell it, let's switch to image creation. And we're going to say, just remove the background of this photo. Background, sorry, I can't type. And put this on a pure white background. Good. So let's try that. And we're going to give it a second here. I'll probably pause these because it can take a little bit of time to generate. So keep that in mind, but I'm going to pause this so it doesn't take forever. Still going, still going, still going. Actually, I might leave this in just so you can get an idea, because here's the thing, you're going to be spending quite a bit of time, and you feel free to fast forward through this part of the video where, waiting for it to generate, but this is going to give you an idea of how long it could take to generate these images as they're completing now. So if you had to do various iterations of this, it could end up taking quite a bit of time. Again, as of making this video, this is how it is, Now, it could be, next week or next month that, ChatGPT puts out a new iteration of ChatGPT or another AI LLM that comes out and it's like does even better. Now, this does look like a good image. It's a very great looking beard trimmer here, but, it's not the one we're selling. And you can see some subtle differences here. Like you get the plus and minus adjustment there on the speed, I guess, and then the power button, etc. You don't have that. You're missing those. So, and that is super, super critical when it comes to Amazon and, selling products on Amazon or any platform really, but Amazon's pretty particular about that, as we know. And if you show one thing on your listing and a person gets another, or Amazon notice that, I mean, all kinds of bad things can happen. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure your product looks exactly, it is the product you're selling. All right, so now we got that out of the way so you can see. So that's just to illustrate the point of, if it's a more complicated product, all this is going to be a lot more difficult. But all the same things apply when we're talking about what we're really trying to use this for, whether it's a complex product or not. When we're talking about making infographics, which is probably the primary point of this, or creating like the overall look and feel of your branding and your images, you can use ChatGPT as your creative director to then be able to pass over maybe a set of images to your graphic designer. And then all that work you might have to do to go back and forth, like, oh no, I don't really like that style, like this style, and can you change this font, that font? You can do all of that here in ChatGPT on your own before you even get there, and you can do it really quickly, which I'll show you here in a second. But next, let's just go ahead and drop in this image, which I've already downloaded, and we'll see how it does with that. So again, this is it's a pretty simple product, and I think the AI can do really well with simple products like this. But even with this, we're gonna notice subtle little details, and especially with the center of this really complicated photo in the center of this Amish guy, it's gonna be really tough for the AI to get this exactly right, and it's probably going to mess it up pretty bad. It can depend. Let's go ahead and try it here. Let's go ahead and drop that one in. So all right, let's go ahead and grab our image. Got that one here. That in. It's already on a white background, but I'm just going to tell it to remove the white background. Create like a PNG. So we'll say that remove the background for this image to make a transparent PNG. And you can also see this is something we'll talk about here a little bit later as well, as when we get into the JSON prompt. It's going to be really important that you tell it the size of the image, the aspect ratio, and all of that. So that is going to be, again, where JSON is going to be a lot better for that consistency. Okay, you can see it is creating the PNG file, transparent background. Okay, we can see it did create the PNG file. And let's just go ahead and take a closer look. So let's take a look at our actual image. Pull that up. I can just hold it side by side here. And let's close that. So let's go ahead and zoom in, take a look at this. Now we can see, I can tell right off that definitely does not look like the guy in the original photo. Let's see if we can see any other flaws just right off the bat. That doesn't look right there. Okay, yeah, you can just, there's little subtle things that you can't do that. So it's not going to work for that purpose, but you get the idea of, just to illustrate the point. Because if you look here, that definitely looks like a real person there versus the other. Yeah, it's 60 milliliters. Okay, so you can see those little details, and maybe some details with this. That wouldn't matter so much if like the lighting was a little off, but yeah, that branding image being off and the text down here being off, you'd be fighting with that quite a while to try to get that right, and probably be impossible to get perfect, just like your actual branding on your label. Which again, all is not lost. Again, the main idea, like I said, is we're going to be creating some really nice looking infographics here, and we're going to be using JSON prompts to do it. And I've got this little doc I put together here just to go over the pros and cons so you can understand why. Now, just really briefly, JSON is going to, the main reason you want to do this is for precision and consistency. Whereas plain text is good for speeding up simplicity. So if you just need to create something really quickly, one time, one image, you could probably get away with just typing it in plain English, and you're going to get close to what you want, especially now ChatGPT is pretty good these days. But if you want to get consistent and have the same thing over and over again, like you're creating several photos, in this case, like we're going to be doing, where you want the branding to be the same each time and all those, those different aspects to be the same, it's going to be better to use a JSON prompt. It's easier to control the layout, sizing, style, elements. It's going to be perfect for batch generation, consistent branding, and easier to debug and modify specific parts. So this is going to help you if you need to edit, or even before the image gets created. I'm going to show you why using the JSON prompt is going to be better, because we're going to have ChatGPT write the prompt. So you don't have to worry about that part. And you're going to be able to look at the prompt. They're actually pretty easy to read. And you're going to be able to see the sections of the photo, or how the AI model is thinking about it and how it's going to put it together and what elements there are. And so you can see within those elements which pieces maybe are wrong. And then you can say, hey, go ahead and rewrite the prompt and make sure you do this part, the size or this style or this text font differently. Okay, so we'll look at that here in a second. Yeah, again, and then faster to write casual one-off images for plain text. Great if you're just experimenting. Yeah, so if you're just playing around, some ideas, do this. But when you're trying to actually create your whole brand guidelines and images and have something really solid to pass to a graphic designer to make final touches and then maybe insert your actual product image into, JSON is going to be the way to go. But yeah, so let's jump into that. Well, first, right before we do that, we want to make sure ChatGPT understands what are the best guidelines and for images on Amazon. So we're going to go to search mode, and we're going to use ChatGPT to do this for us, so we don't have to remember or go search. Okay, what are the best guidelines for Amazon photos? I mean, a lot of us generally know, but yeah, we want to make sure we're not missing anything. So we're going to ask, search for and tell me the best guidelines for, let's say, number of images, format, and types of images for an Amazon listing, say Amazon product listing, and we'll see what it comes up with. Okay, so searching some very popular maybe websites and articles here. Okay, so yeah, see, this is very important. Recommended you utilize all available slots by uploading up to 9 images. Okay. Now, generally, a lot of times you're only going to see 6, I believe, thinking off the top of my head, and then, you can click to see more. But yeah, it's just giving you the general guidelines, JPEG, PNG, okay, TIFF. Okay, so it's giving you the type of specs for the images, and then zoom functionality. So we're going to be able to tell ChatGPT this specific important piece is that, we want 2000 by 2000 pixels to make sure it's zoomable, and 1:1 aspect ratio that should not exceed 10 megabytes. So we're going to make sure, we can drop all this in and not have to worry about it. And it's going to make sure we get all this right. Types of images to include, Okay. So yeah, it's going to sure white background, no text, logos, watermarks, additional graphics. And that's for the main image. Lifestyle images, real life context. I mean, we pretty much know all that, but we're going to do just make sure ChatGPT understands all of this before we even get started. Now, for this use case, we're going to go ahead and stick with this thread, but you could save this in a doc for later as well if you needed to, or even create your own GPT. And we can go over that in another video, creating your own customized GPT within ChatGPT. I mean, you can have structured for your JSON prompts, and all the knowledge base, all in that GPT. So you don't have to go and find this old thread and, give it the research again. You can just have it saved all there. But for this purposes, we're just going to do it all live right here in this thread. So let's turn the search off. And in this case, we're not going straight to image creation yet. We're going to create the prompts needed. Now to do that, I'm going to go ahead and upload the photo that we had, and we're going to go ahead and go over to the listing, and we're going to grab some basic bullet points here it has on the listing. Now, if you had your own, anything we want to do is because we could see some features and benefits here. So softens beard and conditions skin. Those are benefits, as well as, most trusted brand, for beards in the world, all natural ingredients. Those are more features, and it's just whereas this is what it's going to do for you. So we're going to go back and paste these in, and we're going to say, split these up, grab those. I'm going to say benefits. I'm just going to use those two, and we're going to say features. And yeah, let's get that one out of there. So those are the features. All right. And we're going to say, okay, please, be polite to our ChatGPT today. Please create a JSON prompt JSON image prompt. Actually, we're going to say 2 JSON image prompts that match the branding of product in this image. Okay. Again, we're doing all this in plain English, but this is just to create the actual prompts, to create the actual images. The first JSON prompt will be for a features infographic in which the actual beard oil bottle will be in the infographic. The second JSON prompt will be for a benefits infographic, a bottle, the image, but just the on-brand bottle itself. Okay, now let's just let this rip and see what it gets us. And again, we can go back and edit after the fact because we're going to have to create the JSON prompts first, which make it all a lot easier. Actually, it created a more simple JSON prompt. Let's go ahead and tell it to create a more detailed JSON prompt. Please aspects image divided. Get here. Okay, so yeah, this is more what we're looking for here. So this is what is actually going to be in the images, and you can take a look at these prompts and you can look at it piece by piece of how ChatGPT is thinking about it and how it's going to put it together. And if you see something in here that you don't want, you could have it fix that in the prompt beforehand. Or if you wanted to just grab and copy and paste it, you could then edit the prompt yourself even, but just as easy just to tell ChatGPT to do it to make sure you don't like miss a comma or one of those squiggly lines or whatever it is, you know, you can have it do it all for you. Hey, really quick pause here. After recording this walkthrough, I realized as I was putting these prompts together on the fly, building these JSON prompts from scratch on your end, even with the help of ChatGPT, might be a little overwhelming or complicated, or you might not know what to put in them exactly, like as far as what aspects or attributes that should be included. To solve this, I created a ready-to-use template that you can paste in your own chat with ChatGPT and have it customize it for your own product or brand. You can grab it from the description below, and all you got to do is enter in your email and it'll be sent directly to you. And yeah, it's completely free. And also as a bonus, you'll receive our free newsletter so you can keep updated with tools and strategies like this for your Amazon business, plus other important news. But of course, you can opt out anytime if you prefer not to receive it. That said, let's jump back into the walkthrough. So yeah, let's see, just take a look at it. Style, vintage, rustic, handcrafted. Okay, yeah, hand-drawn vintage arrows pointing outward. So if you wanted to swap something out here, you could. Simply changing it. But I mean, this looks pretty good. I would say, you know, if after it generated the image, if I didn't like it, and I could see like what piece of that image it was that we didn't like, we could come back here. Maybe we'll try to do that and maybe change a part of it. And so this is for the benefits infographic: rustic, vintage, engraved, beard branding, textured layout, deep amber to brown gradient with subtle to aged paper texture. So yeah, this is looking really good. Bold, distressed serif, apothecary style, top center, softens beard, what it's going to put in there. Left side in vintage steel frame, skin, okay. Right side, so yeah, it's telling where it's going to put it. So it's giving you an idea of the layout, the icon it's going to use. It's really breaking it down, you know, in your what your sections are going to be, your fonts, colors, etc. So again, once you if you did know your brand's exact colors, you could drop those in here to make sure you get it exactly right if it's a little bit off, because it may not pick it up perfectly just by scanning the image. And so yeah, let me know if you'd like to create these the images generated now, or want to help adapting these prompts for other image styles like A+. Yeah, we'll look at that later. Right now, we want to focus on the images for the listing itself. So yeah, let's go ahead and generate the first image. Which one was the first one? Let's see, JSON prompt number 1. Okay, so we'll start with number 1 and let's let it do its magic. All right, so we could see the image finishing up now. Again, don't pay too much attention to the bottle itself. This is a nice placeholder image as far as I'm concerned, because we want to drop in the actual image of the bottle and just have just add some nice shading to it. It should be pretty easy to do that. A simple graphic design job. But we can see here, we've got the features of the product all perfectly laid out here. It's on brand, had the parchment paper that it was talking about. Let's see, yeah, bold, distressed serif, apothecary style. That was the font. Yeah, looks good. Deep amber to brown gradient, background, yeah. Subtle aged paper texture, yeah. So I mean, this looks really good. It's really nice border there. And we can see, you know, even the text, everything looks amazing as far as I'm concerned. And really, in this case, this is where ChatGPT can really cut down a lot of the work. You could probably even do this yourself the rest of the way in Canva, drop the bottle in yourself and finish it up. So now let's move on to the next image, and we're going to say, generate the image from JSON prompt number 2. Now, remember for this one, let's go ahead and scroll back up here and let's take a look at what we're supposed to be getting. Okay, so rustic, vintage, engraved, everything basically the same, aged paper texture. And we just need to make sure it just has all the different aspects that we need. Okay, taking a look at that, and we can see it coming out here. Now, the only thing I don't like, it looks like it did not get the border the same. So that would be something where yeah, it's like just slightly off. Like if we're going to make this match exactly for a brand, they want all their infographics to look, basically the same as far as the layout and look and feel, then this is where, you want to be thinking of this more as like, this is your creative director. You're going to be able to pass this over to a graphic designer and they could polish it up. So maybe this border, maybe you don't like this border versus that border, but it's pretty close. So you're going to be able to give the graphic designer a basic look and feel, and kind of the layout that you want. Okay. Now, one thing I did notice here is there was a little mistake. So if we look at the background in the second JSON prompt, deep amber to brown gradient with subtle aged paper texture. Okay, and then we come back up here and look at aged parchment with wood grain edges. That is something I kind of overlooked. I would want to make that background the way it's laid out here, or the way we're saying it here for the background exactly the same or pretty close. So maybe we need to make sure it is wood grain edges for that prompt. And let's go ahead and try this. So we're going to say, just going to grab that. Let's say, please revise JSON prompt number 2 to ensure it says exactly each parchment with wood grain edges into the background portion of the prompt. Okay, so it's revising the prompt. Second here. And so yeah, we're revising this one. Let's see what it does. Okay. Rustic, vintage, engraved or background, aged parchment with dark wood grain edges. Okay, so I completely changed that. This is for the number 2. Now, how important deep to amber brown gradient with subtle aged paper texture? So yeah, I think it should be fine. I think we just want to make sure, let's see how it does with the wood grain. And we'll see how close it can get. Okay, so let's go ahead and go ahead and render that version and see what we get. So actually had it freeze up on me here the first time, and the second time it actually did. We got an image, but it still did not get it exactly like we wanted it for consistency purposes there as far as the fine details. But you can see for the most part, it's still on brand as far as the look and feel. Just maybe, again, when you're talking about those fine details, ChatGPT is not quite there yet once again. But again, you could easily pass this to a graphic designer, which is what I would recommend, to have them finish this up. Or as a alternative, what you can also do is take this prompt or one of these images, like the best one you like as far as the background, and have it create something very similar, like a blank canvas that you could then use for the other images, and then drag and drop the pieces in. The main point of all of this is, again, to not completely replace your photographer for sure, and maybe not completely replace your graphic designer either. But your creative director, that role, trying to get the ideas out and get them very, very close, so you're not spending a ton of time trying to figure out exactly what the branding and design and look and feel should look like with your images. Just as an example, we could take this prompt. Let's take the prompt and let's say remake the last prompt and revise it to have a much more modern and edgy look and feel. So let's see what this, so we're going to completely change the look and feel of the prompt and the branding in this case. Now, in this case, we probably wouldn't do this because I think we want to, that initial branding is pretty damn close to what it was on the bottle. But just to illustrate the point, and we can already see, so modern, edgy, premium, masculine, digital, dark charcoal with brushed metal texture. It wasn't, Honest Amish, if it was some other brand that was more modern and maybe the initial prompt was way off, you could do this and kind of change it. So let's go ahead and switch to image creation. It's not necessarily needed, but let's go ahead and do that anyway. And hit go. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so in this case, it gave us a split test version as it's probably testing its data on its own end and see what people like the best. Definitely don't like that one since it got the text completely wrong. So, but this one looks pretty good here. So you can see how you get the idea of like, okay, maybe we want to go with something more like this and have that more across our brand. And we could take that and replicate it and have very similar styling for all the images and then pass that to a graphic designer to have them polish it up. And although some of the minor details, again, might be more difficult even with this to get really, really close, like when talking about the background or other very small details, when you're talking about the colors and things like that, those are things that you can get almost pretty much exactly right if you give it the exact color codes, and so you can avoid a lot of back and forth. It can save you a lot of trouble in the end trying to get things exactly right later. Now we're going to try one final thing here. So I'm going to grab one of the original prompts here. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to come down here, paste it in based on the initial prompt we made. Want you to create a lifestyle image with a man with a long, full beard. We'll just say full beard. I feel like it's going to create something crazy if we say long beard. So we'll just say full beard with a full beard, holding a bottle of beard oil originally referenced in this thread. Okay, so again, it's going to just take that original prompt and include most of the details, and then it's going to then add in some more details about inserting a person. So we'll see how it does. The first thing we want to do is just look over this part and make sure it is all correct, or as close to correct as we can have it. So lifestyle photography. So yeah, here we go. Rustic, vintage, neutral lighting, product and use. That's what we want. Wooden cabin or old barbershop interior. I'd rather not give it two choices there. Rugged man with full beard holding beard oil bottle. Honest Amish beard oil clearly visible with the label facing forward. Wood, aged metal, natural fibers, trusted, earthy, masculine, handcrafted. Okay, so yeah, what we're gonna do here is, let's see, edit prompt to say only old barber shop interior only for the scene. If it's like trying to think, giving it the choice of like having two different scenes could, do something weird and like try to combine things, and we don't want that. Yeah, let's just change that and old barbershop interior. Okay. So yeah, let's see what it comes out with. We got our final image here. So this does look pretty good. Let's go ahead and zoom in and take a little bit closer look at the details. Now, again, this is where AI kind of falls off, but has at the same time improved quite a bit as far as the person. Now, the hand does look a little big there, and like looks like his hand's like too small there. That doesn't look quite right. So some subtleties that are a little bit off, but you could potentially play around with this. And then, yeah, again, with the graphic designer, you could have him insert this bottle pretty easily into his hand. You could then let's exit out of that and go back up to the JSON prompt, use this same JSON prompt to create very similar images, and maybe you get something closer as far as at least getting the details of the person correct. And then you would come up with an image that, pretty much all you got to do is maybe have a graphic designer come in here, clean up the text, the image here, fix those letters a little bit, minor details, and you're all set. But you're also going to want to pay attention to the scale of the product and make sure, your product, it makes sense as far as the size of the bottle and everything like that. If it looks like the scale is going to be off, you may not be able to use this image. For at the end of the day, it might be still better to have a graphic designer insert the image, but it's going to be pretty close as far as the shadows and everything. So after watching this video, I hope you can now really see how AI or ChatGPT specifically can really help speed up the creative process and also save a massive amount of time and even money going back and forth with the graphic designer to make sure you get all the specific elements you want in your Amazon listing for your brand overall. Now, while currently ChatGPT does not completely replace the need for a product photographer to get really high quality initial shots from different angles of your product, especially if it's more detailed. And also when it comes to placing your product in infographics, etc., or lifestyle images, AI can still seem to mess up very small details. And that's where you could have a graphic designer come in there and take a few minutes, or if you know Photoshop yourself, or in some cases just using a simple tool like Canva, tweak little things here and there and be all set. But in the very near future, as we've seen AI and ChatGPT advance very quickly over the past just year, it could be that in the next month, or even maybe it could be next week, that they come out with new iteration that it creates images even better, even more flawlessly, and maybe you don't need a graphic designer or any other tools at all anymore for the entire listing image creation process. That said, if you did get value out of this video, definitely subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see more content just like this, as we'll be putting out more videos of how you can use the latest technology and advancements in AI to help you scale your brand. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.